Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. We're going to college football, Big 12 action, the annual rivalry. We've got Oklahoma and Texas. This is going to be Preston's video best bet, so I'm going to go to you first, Brian. We got to start with Oklahoma off that shocking loss last week to Iowa State. Is huge favorite last week, but could you say, were they looking ahead to Texas this week? But if you look, the last 2 weeks, they've given up a ton of yardage through the air to both Baylor and Iowa State. And Iowa State, didn't they start that wasn't the regular quarterback last week?
Quarterback threw 2 career passes before then.
Yeah, and they got torched. So what's wrong with Oklahoma?
I can't believe none of us saw it coming, because we see this every year. Iowa State pulls off a shocking upset, and Oklahoma loses to a team that they shouldn't lose to. But yeah, obviously they were looking past them. I would think they were looking past them. Oklahoma's still got far more talent than most of the teams in that conference. And I was looking up. Everybody talks about Herman is a great underdog. Well, he's only been a head coach for 3 years now. He's only had 4 opportunities. Now, granted, he's 4-0 against the spread as an underdog, which is pretty good. Well, we always talk about small sample size. You can't get much smaller than 4.
Well, you could 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I kind of saw that coming.
I think he's 4-0 outright, and 3 were as double-digit underdogs. So to go on top of it, I mean, they're covering by like 3 or 4
They are covering
touchdowns.
by a lot, but still a small sample size. But he's also.
I was just go ahead, finish your thought on Herman.
Well, he's a great coach, but just because he's an underdog doesn't mean you just automatically got to play him too few attempts right now. But yeah, Tennessee. If you take a look at the way these teams are playing, Texas is playing better ball. Defensively, they're playing much better ball. Offensively, I still think they've got a ways to go. Oklahoma's still got a lot more talent. But, yeah, this should be a quality game here. And, the dog has cashed the last 4. I'd lean towards the dog at this point.
All right. Go before I throw it to you, Preston. Baylor threw for 463 yards against Oklahoma. And we know Baylor's down this year. We know they're not as bad as they looked in those first few games, and we saw the improvement. But that's significant yardage against Oklahoma. And then, as we talked about last week, 368 yards from somebody that he completed 20 out of 27 passes. So he had a great game. Is this a real concern moving forward with Oklahoma?
Yeah, I think it absolutely is, and kind of disagree with Brian's mention of it. Maybe they were just looking past Iowa State. They were coming off of a bye, so you shouldn't be looking past Iowa State. And before that, they were coming off of almost losing on the road at Baylor. They were losing in the 4th quarter of that game, ended up winning by 8. I think, you look at actual yards per play. It isn't like in either of these games they've turned it over 5 times and it kept the other team in it. They've turned it over once in each game. They've been outgained in yards per play against Iowa State by, it was like 0.3 yards per play. I mean, Iowa State just beat them. And that's what it is. And it was with a backup quarterback that hadn't played, which is just insane. I think they ended up being 31-point underdogs at close or around there. I think Oklahoma has issues, especially defensively. A lot of people are going to be looking to back Oklahoma off the loss. But if you can't make changes on defense, which they couldn't do against 2 pretty average to below average Big 12 teams, I think Texas in a spot with obviously Herman, who, by the way, beat Oklahoma to open the year last year at Houston. He just played Oklahoma and Baker Mayfield a year ago, and they crushed them. But, they were up, I think, 3 touchdowns from the majority of the game, and Oklahoma scored once at the end. I think it's a good spot because Herman last week finally said, and Shane Buechele got injured to start the year. He's their quarterback at Texas, which made it, it wasn't an official move, but Ellinger, the backup freshman, had to take his spot. And then they brought Buechele back in 2 weeks ago, and he kind of struggled. And I think Herman, and they came out last week and said, Ellinger is going to be the starter. And then he's been confirmed after beating Kansas State that he's the guy. He has that extra threat that Herman's always had when he was the offensive coordinator at Ohio State with J.T. Barrett. And then when he was at Houston with Greg Ward Jr., Ellinger can run the ball. And Buechele can't. And Buechele's a slightly better passer, but not that much of a better passer, where I think Herman's finally found his guy to run this offense. And their defense, since that Maryland game, I think they're like 12th in the country in yards per play since that game. Todd Orlando, defensive coordinator, I've always been giving him a ton of hype from Utah State to Houston and then now here. And by the way, he was with Herman at Houston when they played Oklahoma last year. So again, Orlando, defensive coordinator, also familiar with Oklahoma. The number's about right when it comes from my raw. I think my number's 8.5 for my straight numbers. But I haven't adjusted enough for Oklahoma's defense being as bad. I'm pretty certain of that now. And I think having the familiarity in the spot here with Texas and Herman and all of the matchups, It favors Texas. I'm going to bet some plus 250 money line too, but I'm not in a rush because I have this sense that a lot of people are going to back Oklahoma off this huge loss. So I haven't bet it yet. It'd be fantastic if it somehow got bet up to 10 or something, and then I could get 10 with Texas. But I'm not in a rush. So for people that are listening, wait, see if this number comes up. If you see it drifting towards 7, then snatch the 7.5s and 8s. But I'm taking my time and waiting.
Yeah, I think you got wishful thinking, hoping to ever get the 10 on this one. I don't see it with that one. Too much love for Harmon as an underdog, and I got to agree with it. I like Texas, and I'd actually be a little more concerned that it'd lose the hook and get to 7 before I would.
I'm greedy, I guess.
You are. Hey, nothing wrong with that, but
you probably shouldn't have been on a national video giving out that side. Then should have given out the other side and got your number.
Yeah, there we go. But I'll go ahead and agree with you there. Preston says to take Texas plus the points. Should be an interesting game. I think we probably should see some points in this one too, because the Texas offense is going to get better the more games that they're under Herman's system. It's just, they had to learn his system at the beginning of the year and have the quarterback issues, so it's going to get better. Guys, if you want a 7-day all-access package, pick your favorite capper. Grab a 7-day package. You'll never miss a play. You get somebody like Preston that releases a lot of games. He releases a lot of games early in the week when those numbers are soft. Get them while you can get the best numbers. These numbers move during the week, and on the weekends they're the tightest that they are. When you get a 7-day all-access, you're never going to miss a play. The minute the play is put into the system, you get an email notifying you of the play. Check it out. It's a 7-day all-access. Pick your favorite capper. Never miss a play. We'll be back with more here at WagerTalk.com.